I was driving down the dark countryside road on my last pizza delivery of the night. I had my high beams on, and the shadows danced in and out of the trees. The car was warm, with the music off. The only noise was the GPS directing me to the customer. The car smelled pretty good. The lady, she had ordered a pepperoni pizza and a 2-liter with cheesy breadsticks. She had to buy the breadsticks in order for us to deliver out this far. Not completely unusual for a delivery to be out in the middle of nowhere, just doesn't happen that often. I hadn't seen a house for miles on this unfamiliar road. I was beginning to think Rachel gave me the wrong address when the road finally straightened out and the trees on my right opened to a field. There was the house coming up. The farmhouse was very dark, with one power line leading to it. I hit the notification button on my phone to let my boss know I just got there. I pulled into the driveway. The rocks crunched under my tires, thinking to myself that she needs to fix these potholes. I turned my car off, taking my keys and the pizza bag with me, as well as the 2-liter drink. I left my phone on the car mount, thinking that this would be a short trip, and because my hands were full, I locked the door and closed it. At this point, usually a light would turn on in the house, and someone would come out and greet me, but not this time. This time, the house was dark, and honestly looked like no one was home. I continued up the wooden front porch stairs and approached the door. I sat the 2-liter down and knocked. No answer. I waited for about a minute and then decided I must have gotten the wrong address. I turned to my car, sighed, and sat the pizza bag down on the chair next to the door. I walked down the steps to my car, unlocked it, and reached in to grab my phone. I pulled up the restaurant contact number and called my boss, Rachel. Rachel told me that she will call the number again and give me a call back to let me know if they answer. I then decided to walk back up to the door to grab the pizza box and the drink and just wait in the car until she called me back. I walked back towards the house and walked up the stairs again. But when I got to the door, the pizza and the drink were gone. The door was left slightly open like it was begging for me to come in. There were no lights on still, and I was thinking, how did I not see anyone grab that stuff? I would have honestly just left, but I had to drive so far out. I really needed the tip. And those pizza bags aren't cheap. I mean, Rachel would have killed me, so I had to get it back. I pushed open the door. Hello? I yelled out into the house. My voice echoed a little bit in the darkness. It's the pizza guy. Is anyone home? I looked around and couldn't see 2 feet in front of me, so I pulled up the flashlight out on my phone and shined it. A large wooden staircase stretched to the second floor to my right. Straight ahead was a hallway that led to the kitchen, and to my left was what once had to be a living room. The house was falling apart. I mean, literally. The walls had just a little paint on them with big holes that my light shined through. I walked to my left into the living room. There was nothing in there except for one table. A note was placed on it. I picked it up and read it to myself. It said, "The money is in the basement." I remember thinking, no, forget that. Nah, I was not going down there. Just as I was about to head out, I heard a noise. It sounded like someone walking in the next room. I looked ahead and saw an entranceway into the kitchen. I walked through there and called out, "Hey, I need my pizza bag back, please." I arrived in the kitchen and saw the basement door close and sounded like someone walking down the stairs. They creaked with each step. I was tired of the games and marched over to the door and pulled it open, crying out down into the dark, "Look, just keep it, I'm leaving." I closed the door and my phone rang. It was Rachel. She had called to tell me that the customer didn't order a pizza and that I was at the wrong house. I froze. I just froze. My whole body felt like it was sinking to the floor and my legs began to shake. I didn't know what to say, but when my mouth decided to tell Rachel that I was in some stranger's house, I heard running up the basement stairs. I whirled towards the exit a little too fast and smacked my hand against the basement door frame, but not before letting out a loud scream. My phone skittered out of my hand and clear across the kitchen. The footsteps from behind me were way too close for me to try to retrieve my phone now. I turned in the darkness and spurted towards the exit. The basement door came crashing open as I was leaving the living room. I heard a second set of feet coming from down the stairs. I dared not to look as who it was as I passed the staircase. I could feel their presence close to me like they could just reach out and touch me. I ran so fast that my feet probably didn't even touch a single stair as I sprinted down the porch into my car. While I fumbled with the keys, I frantically looked around, waiting to see if someone had chased after me. Luckily, I didn't see anyone. I unlocked the car, got in, and slammed my door, triple locking all of my doors as I began to pull away, until a metal sound scraped in my ears and my heart sank. Someone had slashed my tires while I was inside. Now I was driving on nothing but my rims, an adrenaline rush like I had never felt. The blown rubber got stuck along with my car. I wasn't going anywhere now. I looked at the house again and saw an old lady standing in the downstairs window. She had ragged clothes on. I looked straight ahead, and in my headlights was a tall man walking from the backyard and down the driveway towards me. This monster had what appeared to be a crowbar in hand. There was a loud bang on my passenger side. I don't know how I missed him, but another man had approached my car and was now appearing through the window and at me. His eyes, they didn't look right. They were wider than they should be. I could only think of one thing to do in that moment, and that was to run. I opened my door and bolted across the road and into the woods. The brush was very thick. I could feel thorns ripping in my pants, and then one of the bushes tripped me up, and I slid down a little hill to the base of the tree. I couldn't see anything around me. It was so dark. I felt the tree and climbed around to the other side. I could only think to wait there and plan my next action. I didn't hear my pursuers yet, so I knew that they didn't see exactly where I was. I could hear sticks cracking, branches brushing to the side, and the leaves crunching under them. I heard one slowly sliding down the hill to my left, and there he was. I swear he looked right at me, but didn't see me. Then the other followed closely behind him to my right. They merged in front of me, walking right past. I sat motionless, wishing that I didn't exist here in this moment. The leaves continued crunching away, further and further away. All I remember was not knowing what to do next. Should I just wait until morning? Should I just run now and hope they don't hear me? What happens if they catch me? Then the sirens. I heard the sirens coming from down the road behind me. Oh God, I thought I'm saved. Then flickering red and blue lights slowly illuminated the woods, and those people about 50 yards from me, I could see them now. Their clothes, they were disgusting, and their faces appeared disfigured, but they could also see me. Sprang up from the tree and turned towards the road. I climbed up the hill, using the little trees for support. Behind me was the cacophonic sound of two killers destroying the earth to get to me. I climbed past the last tree and entered to the safety of the road and the headlights of the quickly approaching police car. My savior had arrived. After the officer got out of his cruiser, he asked me what had happened. I told him, and he reached to his radio and called for backup. They responded that they were close now. Sure enough, more lights were coming down the dark road. When they arrived, the responding officers sent the two officers into the woods, searching for my attackers with guns drawn, while he went into the house to locate the lady. I want to tell you that those three were caught, but they weren't. The officer told me it looked like some homeless people were living there, and that's all I needed to know. I asked how he knew to find me, and the officer said my boss had called 911. The other officers took me back home that night, and my dad had a tow truck bring the car back the next morning. I quit my job the next day too. Rachel was very understanding and paid me in the tip I would have gotten for the delivery out of her own pocket. I don't think the police officer told me the whole story though. He didn't look like he saw nothing in there. An ambulance was on the way as one of the other officers was taking me home. I was questioned about what I saw in there. I told them that I didn't see anything. But when I would ask them what they saw, they wouldn't give me a straight answer. Look, in the end, I'm just glad I made it through that night alive. I just don't want to know what was in that basement waiting for me.